now my pleasure to give the floor to one of the MUN director, Mr. Daniel Orlando. Mr. Director, you have the floor.
Ladies, gentlemen, and every gender that absolutely exists, good afternoon. As we stand at the intersection of what has been and what is yet to come, it is with utmost pride and, let me tell you, absolute relief that I welcome you to the final act of GMUN 2025. My thank you list is way too long, so unless you're on my blacklist, which I'm sure you will know, please remember that I'm very grateful. What you have done here, the arguments you crafted, the compromises you reached, the lessons you learned, doesn't simply disappear. It becomes part of who you are in ways that you cannot yet see. And now, as this experience shifts from present into memory, we must ask ourselves, what will remain? Time present and time past are both perhaps present in time future, and time future contained in time past. In this moment in T.S. Eliot's poem Burnt Norton, time collapses upon itself. These lines remind us that the past is never truly gone. It lingers, shaping the present and echoing into the future. It's not simply a linear progression, but a cyclical force intertwining moments, lessons, and consequences. Mark Twain once said, "History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes." And today, we find ourselves in a verse eerily similar to those we once vowed to never write again. We need only look around us to hear that rhyme. The themes of oppression, nationalism, the erosion of rights, which we hoped were relics of the past, have resurfaced in our time. Dystopian fiction that once seemed like a warning has become a mirror, reflecting the faces of today's world leaders who flirt with authoritarianism, disguise reactionary ideology as tradition, incite division, build walls instead of bridges, roll back progress under the guise of order. It's horrifying that we have to fight our own governments to protect our basic rights as human beings. It's no coincidence that these leaders seek to control the narrative, to rewrite history, to silence dissent. George Orwell's 1984 warned us, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Today, this is not fiction. We see it happening in real time, whether in book bans, the cuts to education funding, state-controlled media, social media algorithms that push propaganda, drowning out the truth. We see it in the silencing of journalists, the criminalization of protests, the tightening grip on personal freedoms under the pretense of national security. We see it in the policies that strip away the rights from women, the LGBTQIA+ community, immigrants, the marginalized at large, piece by piece, until we're left wondering how it happened so fast, how we didn't see it coming. But we did. The warnings have been loud and clear, written in history books and novels, painted in murals of resistance, sung in protest songs, and still, too many, looked away. And for all of their differences, these leaders share one fundamental tactic: fear. Fear is their greatest weapon. They tell us undocumented immigrants and not corporate greed is threatening the economy. They claim that trans people, not billionaires hoarding wealth, endanger society. They manufacture a generational war, convincing young people that they must save the world from the failures of the past, while making older generations believe that the youth are entitled and ungrateful. It's all a lie. The truth is that we need each other. And we always have. And yet, that is exactly what they want us to do. They want us to feel powerless, divided, cynical, because so in despair is how fascists win. They convince us that change is impossible so that we don't even try. They convince us that we are isolated so that we don't fight back. So let's stop being quiet and help me scream, fuck you, Donald Trump, and fuck you all of your fascist friends that seek to strip us of our dignity, our autonomy, our very humanity. This isn't just an expletive. It's a declaration, a rejection of the forces of fascism and bigotry. And please, we must go... Please remember, we always must call things by their name. Fascism is fascism, no matter how polished the suit or how charismatic the speech. This is a battle cry to remind us that the time for silence is over, because silence is complicity, and history has taught us what happens when people look away. But the battle doesn't end with expletives. If we truly want to fight back, we must arm ourselves, not with weapons, but with knowledge. Education remains the most powerful tool. If history rhymes, then it is through studying history that we learn to compose a different verse. Literature, philosophy, critical thinking help us recognize and dismantle oppression. The past teaches us not to resign to inevitability, but to recognize the inflection points where action is possible. It teaches us that democracy is not just a system of government, but a responsibility that must be tended to with vigilance. Without education, we're easily led, fooled, controlled, but with it, we're powerful. We study so that we may resist. We study so that we may change the future. Because this is not the first dark moment in history, and every time, people have come together to resist. Books remind us that others have felt what we feel, that others have fought the battles that we now fight, that resistance is a thread woven through history, and that we are part of something much, much greater than ourselves. When I feel lost, I find solace in the last few pages of my favorite book, The Catcher in the Rye. Among other things, you'll find that you're not the first person who was ever confused and frightened and even sickened by human behavior. You're by no means alone on that score. You'll be excited and stimulated to know that many, many men have been just as troubled morally and spiritually as you are right now. Happily, some of them kept records of their troubles, and you will learn from them if you want to, just as someday, if you have something to offer, someone will learn something from you. It's a beautiful reciprocal arrangement, and it isn't education, it's history, it's poetry. Even in the darkest moments, we are not alone. So what we really have to do now is to find our way back to each other. The only way we can fix this is together. So we must come to realize that your problem is my problem, because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So just imagine what we could do together. Let's take up the challenge of our time. Let's learn, fight, and never surrender to despair. Let's write a future where history doesn't rhyme with oppression and tyranny, but with justice, compassion, and hope. The past is with us, yes, but so is the future, and it is our duty to write it. And as I stand here today, my heart is filled with pride and hope, because I see all of you beautiful young faces and souls, because I see my students, and the brightest ray of hope comes from you, my students in the final year, just a few months away from your big graduation day. I know that the past few years have been brutal to you. You have grown up in a world at war through pandemics, inflation, censorship, a world that's boiling, a world that demands you perform but discourages you from thinking. You have lost moments and opportunities that should have defined your youth. But you don't give up. You march, you organize, you fight, you resist, and that gives me hope. Because there is still time to change our rhyme. You stand on the edge of a world that has always been waiting for you, a world that now you will walk through in your own way. Up until now, others have held your hand, guided your steps with the quiet hope that you will find your way. But now that time has come. It always does, when you must take that path as yours. There is a bittersweet beauty in these moments, in the way time moves forward, no matter how much we wish to hold it still. You have grown, changed, become something new, and yet you carry with you every version of yourselves, every laughter-filled day in class, every late-night conversation on a school trip, every challenge that made you stronger. The past doesn't disappear. It lingers in the choices you make and in the dreams that you chase, in the way you move through in the world. So now go. Go at your own pace. Make mistakes, take risks, follow your heart even when the road ahead is unclear. Because the future belongs to you, and though those who love you must watch you from a distance, we and I, we will always be here, hoping, trusting, and believing in you. Because this is how it was always meant to be. Your journey in your own way. It's so silly of me to be this emotional right now, because my favorite book, The Catcher in the Rye, had warned me. Don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody. And I guess I said too much then, because I'm going to miss you terribly. Thank you for our past and best of luck for your future. Thank you, Sassy. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I yield the floor back to the mistress of ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando, for your amazing speech.